Good evening to everybody, and welcome tonight for those who are both here and those who are online. I just want to extend a warm welcome to you all as we are in our fifth day of our seminar on reversing debilitating diseases. We've gone over the 8 laws of health, God's plan. On Monday, we went through and we studied about reversing diabetes. Tuesday, we learned about early prevention and or early detection and prevention of cancer. Last night, we did smoking and reversing the effects of smoking. Tonight, we're going to be going over an important lesson for most of us out there is learning how to eat healthy and be able to eat more and weigh less. So if you all join me in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for the opportunities that we've had this week so far to study your plan for better health. I just ask that you be with us all this evening as we glean knowledge and wisdom. For it's my prayer in Jesus' name, amen.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Good evening. I'll just kind of turn this way. I see there's a wall here separating this half from that half. And there's behind, for those of you who are online, welcome. If you're able to see, there's a curtain separating the front rows from the back rows. So I have to speak over that curtain. Very few people want to sit up front. That's all good. Anyway, I am happy to be here. Let me turn on my electronic devices. I didn't see a plug up here, so you know when you don't have it plugged in, they turn off after a few minutes. My name is Ray Innes. I am well known around here. Is there anyone here who don't know who I am? Thank you. Sorry. There is one person here. Okay, I'm the driver of the person who spoke last night. Cool. And she tackled the tough subject of smoking, and I was asked to talk about what we can eat more of to be healthy. It's a topic in disguise. I have a passion for this topic because it's becoming a real problem. Just real quickly, I started practicing anesthesia in private practice, that is about 20 years ago. Actually, this month I've been at Conroe Hospital exactly 20 years. And back then I would get probably one person over 350 pounds, maybe once every 3 or 6 months. And now I'm getting one over 400 pounds every month. Since I started at the dental center, it was very rare to see overweight, much less obese young child. Yesterday, I had a 5-year-old who was already suffering from obstructive sleep apnea. It's becoming a real issue. So this topic, it means a lot to me, and I hope to our church and to God's people. Thank God he's provided a rainbow for us. And what does a rainbow mean? Hope. Hope. Wasn't that why he gave Noah a rainbow? Whenever you see the rainbow, there is hope. Cool? So, you can be healthy. That's the bottom line. I haven't copyrighted that, but that's the name of my series. So, I always start out with this disclaimer. My intent is simply to educate, to enlighten, okay? And what I'm speaking, as far as I know, is truth, based on the papers I've read and the statistics from the government that I looked up. So if you've proved me later to be false, I apologize for that, because things do change, all right? And if you look at different statistics, for some reason, NIH statistics sometimes is different from CDC statistics, and you have to sort it through. So hopefully truth is never intended to embarrass anyone, okay? Truth is not against people. And this is a Seventh-day Adventist church. Remember 1 Timothy 3:15 says, this church is God's church. Amen. Pillar and foundation of truth. We don't speak, nor do we represent falsehood in this church. If we do by mistake, we apologize in advance and certainly afterwards. So bear with me. All righty. So with that, here is our objective for tonight. Eat more, weigh less. We will talk about the prevalence of overweight and obesity in the United States, mostly. That's where we live. And childhood obesity. Life consequences of being overweight and obesity in the church. Briefly, causes of obesity, treatment and fixes, and eat this, not that. I'll share some example of things that you may know, may not know, but just representative of the different food groups. And finally, my hope is to empower each individual here to take control of the effects of time. God allows us to control the effects of time. We can't control time, but we can control the effects of time on our bodies. Cool? All right, so how do you decide if somebody is overweight? We will define being overweight as having a 10% increase above your normal body weight or a BMI between 25 and 29. You guys know a BMI is your body weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters square, right? And since we live in the USA, most people don't know or don't use meters very often, but meters is, I believe, 39 inches. Cool. So, all right, and then we will use obesity as a BMI of 30 or being 20% overweight. All right, so you'd have to look up your ideal body weight on the weight charts. I can tell you roughly if you're 5 feet, small frame, you should weigh about 105 pounds plus or minus 5. And for every inch above 5 feet, that's every inch after 60 inches, you add 5 pounds. Cool. And if you're medium, if you're a large frame, then you add 6 pounds per inch. And morbid obesity, having a body weight of 100% or more above your normal ideal body weight, or a BMI greater than 40. Now, I must tell you, if you come across, there should be something else there. If you come across class 1 obesity, that's having a BMI between 30 and 34.9, and class 2 obesity will be 35, including 35 to 39.9, okay? So sometimes, depends on what you read, you might see class 1, class 2, and class 3 obesity, and that's what they are referring to. I want to really show you some statistics to hit this so you don't leave here with the idea that this is not a problem. And not only is it a problem, it's an accelerating problem. On this slide here, you can see how obesity has, what just happened? You can see, this is really, I guess I'm familiar with myself here. Okay, I think yeah. Okay, notice here how in the 1988, the population obesity was pretty much less than 10 to 14% was the worst, but you would say the average was less than 10% of the population being obese, right? And then by 1998, it has moved up to the 20 to 24 percentile. And then by 2008, we're way up in the 25, 30 percentile average range. If you do a rough average of this population with this population, you can see it has exploded, right? And that's just 30 years, friends. And let's see here. And here we are in 2022. There's only one green state, Colorado. And that's an improvement because last year they were actually yellow. but I suspect a few people move to Texas or the South and they'd improve their, their weight average, you know. But look at this mess we have in the South and the Midwest, man. That's where people are just eating it up. I can't blame them because there's a lot of Texas brisket and barbecue to go along, you know, but it is not bad. And I can tell you that the 2002 obesity average is a little lower than 2021, actually. So maybe the education and all the publicity in the news media is having an effect because people are, or maybe some of the folks who are migrating is bringing down our weight average too. We never know, but there, I can tell you if you look at the 2021 map, it's a little better. If you're wondering what this is over here, that's based on ethnic group. And this green map I'm impressed by. Who can tell me who you think that green map represents? Which ethnic group? Why do the Asians people say that? It sounds like a biased opinion to me. Can somebody who's non-Asian give me their opinion? Yeah, that represents Asian Americans. Asian Americans, okay? I won't tell you who the rest is since you already know, it seems like. But anyway, 72% of Americans are either overweight or obese, my friends. And 40%, 93 million people are obese. BMI over 30, okay? It's a real problem. Let's see, Booby. Okay, the estimated annual cost of obesity is high, and this is a low number. I've seen much higher number. But children and adolescents between 2 and 19-year-old in 2017 to 2020, there were 19, I gotta do it this way, I guess, 19.7, just 20% of children and adolescents are overweight or obese. That's quite a bit between this age group, right? So let's break it down. Look at this, man. Almost 13% of 2 to 5-year-old. Folks, we got to be careful how and what we feed our children. We'll go over what we could do to help them out later, okay? 21%, 22% for 6 to 19-year-old. That's 1 in 5 child being overweight. Is that being overweight? No, that's being obese. that's BMI over 30. That should concern us at Seventh-day Adventists, okay? All right, remember the health message is the right hand of the gospel. You can't pass up the gospel if you don't have the right hand. We got to work on that. Okay, here we go by ethnicity. Notice these two groups, 1 in 4 individuals, morbidly is obese, sorry, not morbidly, Hispanics and non-Hispanic blacks. Cool? They're all high. Again, the Asian population is very low. Okay, cool. So the point of all this, again, is to point out that it's a growing and rapidly growing problem. And we will see why in a minute this will be a problem, because our health and the welfare is at stake. All right, so just to go over this again, I'm trying to reach the mic here because I noticed it's needed, you know. Is it able to come off? But so basically from the previous slide, you see that childhood obesity have tripled. Thank you. Tripling of childhood obesity. 1/3 of children is overweight. That's a huge amount. 4 out of 10 certain racial groups, we showed that. Why is childhood obesity a concern to me? This one right here. If you're obese as a child, if your child is obese, there's a 4 out of 5 chance that child will be an adult obesity, okay? True, thank you, man. Appreciate that vote of confidence there. My friends, last week I did a coronary bypass on a 36-year-old. And he was overweight, well, marginally obese, cool? So that's why this is a problem. Because when I started 20 years ago, we weren't doing 30-year-olds. We weren't doing 30-year-olds. Well, we're seeing it now, man. And they're not slim. Less healthier than their parents. 1/3 of children born after 2000 will have diabetes. Because being overweight is a huge progenitor of diabetes. Cool? Which means there also a fair number will have kidney failure because diabetes leads to kidney failure. It's the #1 cause of eye blindness and kidney failure. This is a problem. 2/3 of recruits don't qualify when they go to base, what do they call it? The training for the basic training for the military. We'll see that in a slide. You imagine the recruiter recruits you, you accept it, and when you get the basic training, they say you don't qualify, so they have to work you out separately to get you down to weight. Real problem, don't you think? What about those who are disabled? They have a higher rate of being overweight and obese, right? That may not totally reflect on them because some of these people may not be able to be active or their choice of activity may be limited. But then what can play a role to help them? We'll cover that. Cool? So what about Adventists? The only study I find in Adventists in spite of AHS 1 and 2 is this is the only thing I found. A college student, I must say these were 2 Southern Adventist schools. Since you guys are Adventists, I hope you don't try to guess who they were, but there were 2 Southern Adventist schools, and it's right down here, right? Both African and Caucasian colleges. Notice, consistent with the population almost, right? There's still a 30% overweight or obese, which is what we saw in the 2022 charts, right, for the whole population. So we're not any better than out there, represented by our children who are in college, right? Yes, ma'am. Oh, I will try that, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay. So this is a problem. I was just saying this is a problem. We're not any different from out there at this point in time, in spite of our health message. Cool? Okay, so you all got this. And this is just a summary slide here. 1 in 5 children, 1 in 3 adults, expensive. 2 in 5 young adults. But this is where the problem lies. Fewer than 1 in 10 children and adults eat recommended daily amount of vegetables. Fewer than 1 in 4 youth get enough aerobic physical activity. Let me remind you, tonight I don't talk about exercise very much. It's about nutrition. But if you do weight training, etc., remember muscles weigh more than fat. So if you do weight training instead of aerobics and you find that you're not losing weight, that could be a problem, even though you're actually exercising, okay? 1 in 4 adults meet the physical activity guidelines, kind of consistent here. Alrighty, and the bottom we talk about. So this is the problem. This is why obesity is bad. Just to summarize, okay? This is not the objective as taught, but imagine. Mental health, increased rates of depression and anxiety. Have you heard on the news media how they're talking about depression also being an epidemic proportion? It's real. There's a lot of depression in our church, but mental illness is not addressed as much as physical illnesses, okay? But there's a serious problem of depression and also in our young people. Cool? Immune system is depressed, reduced wound healing. This has been addressed before, I believe, right? Cardiovascular diseases, endocrine problem. This one is interesting because a lot of people will say, oh, I'm overweight because I have low thyroid or I have some endocrine problem. Less than 10% of our population has endocrine problems, but more than 30% of our population is overweight or obese, so it's not the main cause. Cool? I see a lot of reproductive system problems, fibroids, bleeding, things like that, dysfunction, pain, with heart disease, respiratory problems, digestive system, bones and joint. When you think of bones and joint, what do you think about? Pain. Wait, both mics are working, sorry. Pain comes to mind, to me anyway, right? Because nobody gets their joints or bones taken care of unless it's hurting. That's the only time you address it. So check this out. Relative to normal weight people, overweight people reported 20% greater rates of recurring pain, and it's grown to 68% with class 1 obesity, and 136% with class 2 obesity, and by the time you become morbidly obese, you're up to 2.5 times as much frequency of pain, and not only frequency, but earlier occurrence of pain, joint pains. Actually, these people suffer from headaches, chronic headaches. It's a risk factor for abdominal pain, pelvic pain, neuropathic pain, and major cause for joint replacements, which is interesting because you get osteoarthritis very frequently and early, and then you need a replacement, but then you go to the orthopedic surgeon and he says you need to lose weight. So now you're stuck in a problem because you need to lose weight to get the joint fixed, but you need the joint fixed to lose weight. Cool? And you can see with all the depressed immune system, you end up taking longer to heal. So you end up staying in the hospital longer, and your surgery can become more complicated with infection setting in, etc. So it's really, really a problem, in my opinion. All right, so factors contributing to being overweight and obese, genetics and physiology, body types and genes, it accounts for very little, as we've discussed in all the other topics. We can blame genes all we want, but genes is affected by lifestyle. Cool? There's something called basal metabolic rate, which is the rate of energy expenditure when you're at rest. And in the normal BMI for most people are between 1,200 and 1,800 calories. So you see, if you would stick to a 2,000 or even 2,500 calorie diet, you probably won't gain very much weight because then the activity during the daytime will burn off that 600. You see what I mean? So let's go on. This is talking about genetic risk is low. Genes are not our destiny. Genes are affected by our lifestyle. Cool? Oh, sorry. Prenatal and postnatal influences. If a mother is obese or overweight, it's highly likely that her newborn will be obese or overweight. Especially if that mom has diabetes, baby will be overweight at birth. Cool? And smoking seems to contribute to overweight children, all right? So it's not a great idea to smoke, and it's definitely not a great idea to smoke while you're pregnant. I really encourage you not to do that, not only for weight problems, but many other problems for your child. Unhealthy diet, refined foods and fatty foods all contribute to a terrible diet. Sugar or wasteful calories, which is common in children. You know, like I said, I do the dental center, and the kids have to be without food or drinks for 8 hours prior to surgery, and invariably, when they're talking to me and they're saying they're hungry, mom is saying, don't worry, when we leave, we're going to McDonald's. When we leave, we're going to Burger King. When we leave, we're going to go get some ice cream. When we leave, and I was like, dude, that's why you're here. Anyway, I mean, they do mention Whataburger too. Inactivity, lack of sleep and inactivity leads to weight gain. And this in adults is a lot of television, screen time, or reading time at night. Okay? I think I have one more here. Sugar, sweetened beverages, juices and juices, drinks are the largest source of sugar in the diets of children and adolescents. Do you see that? Largest source of sugar in the diets of children. It's pretty much the largest source of calories. Okay, I believe obesity is also a disease of affluence. When we were poor, we ate mostly starchy food, like in the 1800s, early 1900s. And as we become more affluent in our incomes, we start eating vegetable fats, more animal fats, more refined sugars, less starches. Cool. And it's the problem with affluence. Now, in poorer countries, you see that a lot of them have adopted the cheaper manufactured foods, which is a lot of refined processed food that's imported. So they also suffer from this problem. Okay, because there is increasing weight around the globe. So this is a concept I want you guys to remember. If you don't know it as yet, you will now. People gain weight, people get full by the amount of food they eat. Is that correct? Not the calories? Well, they gain weight based on calories, right? But you get full based on the quantity of food you eat. This is an important concept, so remember this as we move along. I'll give you an example right now, and then we'll go into details, okay? But the point is, you get full based on the amount of food you eat, not the number of calories taken in. The calories lead to weight gain, while you get full based on the quantity of food. Should I ask you to repeat that? You know that. Good. So, check out this big bowl of fresh salad. You can have a whole bunch of that right there. And yes, avocado is there. And how about those? Well, I mean, I got to point these out, because what's around the corner exactly 1 month from now? You don't know, I know. Thanksgiving, in case you forgot. A pecan pie. Look at this number right here. Oh man, this thing. See this. Is there really not a plug around here? It keeps turning off. Anyway, pecan pie. Here we go. How many calories in 1 ounce of pecan pie? That's true. Here are the numbers. 117 calories in 1 ounce. And a slice is more than 500 calories. Depends on what kind you get, right? That's a whole bunch right there. I'll show you why that's important. It's a very small volume for a large amount of calories. But anyway, let's go on. How about the fudge? Christmas comes a month later. That's when we have chocolate fudges and stuff, right? What calories are we looking at there? Oh my goodness, even more than the pecan pie. You see what I mean? Any questions on that? Let me ask you guys, how many calories in an ounce of broccoli? It's not 0 and it's not 20. About 10 to 11, I believe. Cool? Yeah, that's all, 10 to 11. I'm trying to get back to that slide there. How many calories in an ounce of lettuce? You should have tried your 0, because it's 2. Yes. If you take 10 ounces of lettuce, you're still under the calorie significantly of 1 pound of, or 1 slice, okay? So, here's the first evidence of what we're talking about. So they asked some folks to eat an ultra-processed diet because they believe it causes excess calorie intake and weight gain. Let's see what they found. Look at the difference here. If you eat the ultra-processed foods, notice how your weight starts at 0, and in just 2 weeks, you gain 3 pounds. But what if you use unprocessed food? Unprocessed food. You see, you actually lose weight. You see what I mean? And that's without exercise, just eating unprocessed whole foods. Okay, WFPB or PBW, whole foods, plant-based. So plant-based whole foods, you could actually lose weight. Here's the fat. Low-fat food, that's unprocessed. High-fat food, that's processed. And here we go. See, the fat balance increases significantly versus the low-fat, where the fat balance decreases. So you see, the weight you lost will be fatty weight, because there's no exercise, right? So your muscles shouldn't be growing, all right? So, despite the ultra-processed, unprocessed diet being matched for daily presented calories, sugar, fat, fiber, and macronutrients, people consume more calories when exposed to ultra-processed diet compared to unprocessed diet. There's a reason for that. These things are caused not by the choice we make is the type of food, but once the food gets into our body, our physiology is affected. And I don't think I have a lot of time to cover all those physiology tonight because I see the clock is already say 8 o'clock. I'm not even halfway down. But this stuff is really physiologically fun. So I just wanted to show you some mixed salad greens. Look at the low calorie content. This is all 1 cup serving, okay? 1 cup serving. 1 cup of mixed salad greens is only 9 calories, while lettuce salad with assorted vegetables, including tomato and carrots, 12 calories. 1 cup. All right. How many cups normal average stomach quantity capacity? How many cups normal stomach? Pastor said 2. He's a shepherd. We should follow him. This time I'll advise you not to. Oh, no, 1 cup. Who eats 1 cup of ice cream and stop? Anybody? Nobody. Oh my goodness. Lettuce salad with egg, cheese, tomato, and carrots. Notice even the cheese, because it's a little bit of cheese, right? All right. Let's see our next page. Here we go. Bean salad. The beans bringing some more protein, so you add some more calories, right? Greek salad, pea salad, potato salad, garden salad. Not a heck of a lot of calories until you get to a lot of pea products. Cool? But this is the point with quantity versus quality. Calorie content of food. Notice if you eat a lot of fats and oil, these are calorie-dense food. Okay? Notice 3 pounds. How many pounds of food did you eat today? Anybody? Nobody weighs their food before they eat it? You really should. Because if you do, then this would be awesome, right? Because you'll say, oh, I remember Dr. Innes's lecture. Yeah. So let's get we need to get 2 scales. 1 for the bathroom and 1 for the kitchen countertop. So when you pour your breakfast or your lunch, you weigh the plate before, then you put the food on and you say, okay, I'm staying below the 3-pound mark today. And not only that, the type of food will be important. The quantity is important, but a lot of people eat more pounds than they think because you never weigh it. Cool. All right, but the point here is, notice, can you eat 3 pounds of greens? That's a lot of greens, that's right. Can you eat 3 pounds of whole grains? I doubt it, but maybe. Cool? Not in one setting, that's right. That's important because this is the problem, my friends. Look at the difference in calorie density. See? 400 calories of oil. Okay, how many of you guys use vegetable cooking oil? How many my bad. How many teaspoons of oil is this? 4? Good try, man. Close. I checked that we have 3 oils in our pantry. I checked them today. We have canola and olive oil. They both had the same calorie density 4 ounce, and it was 124. So if you divide this by that, it's a little over 3 ounces, but less than 4 ounces. That's a very little bit of oil. So when you put a tablespoon of oil on your salad, this is what's happening here, right? On the contrary, if you eat your salad without that oil, look, your stomach is full, with the same amount of calories. Remember, people gain weight based on calories, you see. So if you eat the ice cream over here, you will eat a lot more calories than if you eat a sherbet, which is a sugar, which you shouldn't anyway. Okay, let's go on. So here's the answer, 4 cups. The capacity of a normal adult stomach is 4 cups, okay? That's average, because some people may be less. But anyway, we'll use the average that's scientifically spoken of, and we'll go. So here's your 2 cups of ice cream providing 2,000 calories. Okay, but you come home and you're going to have dinner, 2 cups of ice cream. Is that enough to fill you up? I didn't hear you. The answer is no, because your stomach can hold 4 cups, you see. But are you at your 2,000 calorie per day limit diet? Yes, but you're not full. And since you're home now, you've showered, you're rested, and you're going to study or watch a football game or the Astros, you're not full, and you can't watch a game being unfull, right? So you have to go more. That's the problem. How many calories, how many cups of strawberries you need to make 2,000? Give me a number. 5 pounds. I don't know about pounds. We're talking about cups here because we're filling our stomach. Okay, here's the answer. That's a whole lot of strawberries, my friends. That's 44 cups of strawberries to give you the same amount of calories as ice cream, strawberry ice cream. That tells you there's not much strawberry in that strawberry ice cream. Cool? So I want this stuff to stick. That's a whole, how many stomach full is that? That's 11 stomach of strawberries. So you see, if you had strawberry full for breakfast, strawberry full for lunch, strawberry full for dinner, you'd still be under 2,000 calories. And you can eat as much strawberry as you want during that football game. Cool? And here's breakdown. Broccoli, my favorite vegetable. Watermelons. There's a lot of stomach fulls of these to go around. Even apple slices. You need 11 stomach full of apple slices to get. This is how these things fill you up. Okay? All right. Let's go on. So that brings us to the point I mentioned earlier called energy density. Energy density, the amount of energy or calories in a particular weight of food. So energy density is equal to calories divided by grams, right? So from that set of slides, one thing is clear, especially from the last slides. Ice cream is high energy density, high calorie, right? While vegetables, fruits, etc. are low calorie dense food. So we want to stick to that. All right. What about meat? Meat. This is what I want you to remember from meat. For over a century, one of the major goals of scientific animal husbandry was to increase the carcass fat content of the animals raised for consumption. Remember that. To what? Increase the carcass fat. Should Adventists eat animal fat? Does the Bible say you shouldn't eat animal fat? Okay, we'll look at that later. Okay, but this is a problem, folks. So I'm not here to preach against meat. I will just show you this evidence here and ask you to read this if you will. Ministry of Healing, page 129 through 131, okay? Will you remember that? That's the second thing I'm asking you. The third thing I'm asking you to remember. Remember to read this when you go home. All right, let's move on. This is the problem, my friends. Look, in 1996, USDA, so that's the government, the chicken back then had a fat content of 1.8 grams per 100 grams of chicken. That's like less than 2% of your chicken was actual fat. In 2004, even if you eat the organic farm-raised chicken, you're at 17, 22, almost 20% fat content. Cool? So don't fool yourself by saying that chicken is white meat or turkey is white meat, and that's the only one you eat, because there's just too much fat content in it. Okay? Our data suggests that men and women with the highest chicken consumption, 22.8 grams per day, had a higher increase in BMI after 14 years follow-up. Danish study showing high consumption of chicken was associated with greater weight gain. Okay? So, what about meat? My recommendation is follow the Adventist health message on it. Ministry of Healings, page 129 through 132. I don't want to tell you what it says in case you said, I'm not a prophet, you shouldn't believe what I say. Cool? Okay. What about meat substitutes? Microprotein are these things we call Impossible Burger, Beyond Meat, tofu, we know what that is, chicken, upon subsequent eating behavior, hunger, and safety. This study was done to see are there benefits to these individual different types of meats. It was done in school-aged children, right? And here's what they found. The odds ratio of being overweight in school-aged children, if they eat meat, odds of being overweight, 2.5. If they did not eat meat but eat plant-based meats, that's the tofu and the other stuff, there was a benefit. They were barely about less than 1.5 times, so almost 50% chance less of being overweight. But what if they only eat whole foods, plant-based? The risk of being obese or overweight was quite low, very low, okay? So if you can remember this when you think about your children, that's one reason you may consider what you feed them. Randomized controlled trial using a whole food, plant-based diet in community obesity, ischemic heart disease, or diabetes. The diet approach included whole grains, legumes, vegetables, and fruits. Notice this, participants were advised to eat until they were full. They were satisfied, okay? No restriction on total energy intake, none whatsoever, as long as you ate these things. Just eat. And look what they found after 3 months. Average 19-pound weight loss. 3 months. Now, as you guys know, all of you have tried a diet in January. You go on a diet, and you lose some weight, and then you get off your diet, and as Adventists we know, you gain the weight back. So the challenge here is what happened at 6 months? What do you think happened? Well, they lost even more pounds. They went to 27 pounds average, right? 26.7. BMI decreased by minus 4.4. You see, so if you were marginally obese, now you're not obese. If you were marginally morbid obese, now you're not morbidly obese. But mostly, many times when people undergo this weight loss, they become happier, physically stronger, all right? And they're more satisfied with life. And guess what, at 12 months, they did not gain the weight back, just a little bit, okay? So this study demonstrates what we've been saying over and over and over, which is this stuff works. Cool? Whole foods, plant-based, leads to weight loss and leads to keeping weight off. And remember, I keep saying this is without exercise. There's no emphasis on exercise. Nobody's asking you to exercise. If you add exercise, that's a bonus, and there may be more loss. Maybe. To the best of our knowledge, this research has achieved greater weight loss at 6 and 12 months than any other trial that does not limit energy intake or mandate regular exercise. The key difference between this trial and other approaches to weight loss was that participants were informed to eat whole food, plant-based diet ad libitum, which is as much as you want, okay, unrestricted as mentioned earlier. Folks, this is what happened. This slide was done in a prison. In a prison. And the objective was to see how much and what do you feed people to gain weight. All right? And they noticed that when you feed them animal or fat-based product, all you got to do was get up to 20 or 40,000 calories, and you get maximum weight gain in a short amount of time. But if you want to feed them foods that's grown, you can't, because you can't get anybody to eat this much calories. You see, even if you grind it up in a blender, you can't get them this much calories. I mean, you're talking about, for example, right here, let's say this is about 7.5 pound weight gain. You're talking about 20,000 calories here. It's crazy, the amount of calories you need to get to this level. 30-pound weight gain. I have a son, he's 19, and I asked him to come. He told me he asked me too late because he prides himself in being vegan, and he's been trying to put on weight. And you should see how much blender full of food he tries to eat every day. And he still can't get, once he got to 160, he can't go higher. Because he can't eat enough food to put weight on. You see. Anyway, let's move on. So here we go. The rainbow. I actually took this picture like a month and a half ago. There was a time when there were 2 rainbows, but I couldn't find the picture. So, tools to enhance weight loss. Okay? Preload with water. Have a cup or 2 of water before you eat. Cool? Because if you have a cup of water, you already take away 25% of your stomach. Right? Remember, you only have 4 cups, unless you stretch your stomach to where you need more than 4. Salad before meal. Why salad before meal? No, the only dressing you should put on your salad is vinegar. Okay, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Okay, salad before meal. For the same reason. Remember we said broccoli? A 10-ounce salad has less than 50 calories, my friend. Just about 50, less than 100 calories in a 10-ounce salad, okay? A cup of salad has less than 50 calories. So that's a huge investment. Major return on investment right there. Fruits before meal. Fasting, vinegar, soups, flaxseed. Spices, I'll give you an example of that. Stay hydrated during the day, decrease flour intake, especially refined, of course. We don't do refined flours, right? Time restrict your eating. Okay, this is important. If you eat with television on or you eat as a social event at evening time, set your timer to 20 to 30 minutes and then take the socialization outside during the walk. 10 minutes after you eat, a nice little walk will work. Chlorella, I'll talk about that, and as I say, 10 minutes after. Let's go back here. These 2, they provide 2 things. They're low calorie, because they're high water content, right? I'll give you examples, specific examples of high water content foods, okay? In case I don't have time, what are you getting with these 2 and this one? A lot of fiber, right? Fiber. When you eat a lot of fiber, you get hungry. It takes longer to get hungry, and you also eat less. There's something called an ileal brake response, or it's a negative feedback loop. Because fiber and also the cell membrane of plant foods, they're not as easily broken down as the cell membrane of animal foods and fatty foods. Cool? So when that unbroken down food reached the ileum, which is the third part of your small intestine, remember it's divided in three. The duodenum, right, is the first one. Good? So when you get down to the ileum senses unprocessed food. And it sends a hormone back to the stomach and to your brain that says, remove the hunger sensation because I'm getting food that was not metabolized. You see that? So now you don't have that urge to eat more. And that affects you for more than just the immediate meal. It affects you for about 12 hours. You see that? Animal food doesn't do that. Plant-based food, food that God gave us in Genesis 1:29 and Genesis 3:18, I think. I don't remember the verse. It does that. Okay, fasting. Oh, man, my bad. Fasting. There's multiple benefits to fasting. I don't have time to talk about it, but really consider fasting. For some people fast intermittently, and there are different definitions of that, but consider it. It has been shown to help weight loss quite a bit. Vinegar. When you take a tablespoon or two of vinegar, it affects the amount of food and your hunger sensation. And it affects how food is metabolized, and you decrease the amount of calories and weight gain. It's actually shown beneficial. Okay, decreased BMI and decreased weight gain when vinegar is eaten. Now, I will not advise you to consume a tablespoon of vinegar raw because it tastes good. For some people, it actually tastes good. You should dilute it in water. So when you have that cup of water before you eat, you put a tablespoon or two of apple cider vinegar in it, and it is awesome for your health. Soups. Oh, man. Soups is low calorie, high water content, and that's what's beneficial. Flax seeds we'll talk about later. So I promise you high water contents of food, here they are. See, the melons are here as we expect, the lettuce is here as we expect, with celery, cucumber, these we expect, asparagus, beets, bell peppers. This has really become my favorite vegetables. I encourage you to eat as much of that as you can. And broccoli is best when it's lightly steamed, like less than 2 minutes. You set your water to boil, you put your broccoli in the steam portion, and you just let it steam for less than 2 minutes, about a minute. And because if it gets too soft, you've destroyed the cell membranes. It's not good anymore. It's not any better than being raw. Okay? And here are different avocados, bananas, canned beans. They're apples, apricots. Most of your fruits are still high in water content. Here are your barley, beet, boiled beans, hummus, and lobster. Well, we don't eat that, right? And there's your tempeh. See, notice the dry foods, the drier foods. Now, this one is interesting because that's purposely dried. Okay, so just disregard that. I mean, most of the time we only use dried apples when we're hiking, backpacking, etc. Right? All right, let's move on. Spices. Spices is great for these reasons. Appetite suppressant, decreased weight and BMI, same effect as Orlistat. Orlistat is a drug that's ordered at 120 milligrams q-day for weight loss. And cumin and most of these have shown to give you the same benefits as that, okay? So that would not only save you money, but also save your weight. Here, I'll talk about ginger right here as an example of all the others, okay? Ginger significantly reduce BMI, bump your metabolic rate, so that's the burn rate of calories, decrease inflammatory marker levels, drop in liver fat, improve liver function tests, and this is how you can take ginger. I like the tea part. I recommend that you buy raw ginger, boil it, and let it sit overnight. By tomorrow morning, it's perfect. You know, if you drink it right away, it's not as strong. Ginger consumption enhances the thermic effect of food. This is a study. Let's see what the results were. 2 grams per day of ginger in hot water. So they like the tea, like I do, and it decreases hunger, decrease food intake, increase fullness. When you feel full, you don't want to eat. And it decrease amount consumed. Remember, people gain weight based on volume, not based, is that right? No, people gain weight based on calories. See, every so often I slip a trick question in there, and you all will nod in agreement, and here you get caught. People gain weight based on amount of calories. People get full based on volume. Okay. It has no effect on glucose, insulin, lipids, or inflammatory markers in that case. There's another study, 8 obese female eating for 2 grams per day versus placebo. So this is a randomized controlled trial, 12 weeks, a very small group, I must say though. Significant decrease in BMI and insulin. I'd like to point out that versus placebo is important because if we should do a study right here today and we says, look, you guys go home and eat the vegetables and you guys go home and eat your regular food, what will happen to that group when they go home? You guys, because you're all on the vegetable side, are going to go and eat as much vegetable as you can. When they go home, they're going to go home and say, okay, we're going to eat everything, but guess what? Since it's a study, we're going to change our normal pattern. So we need placebo so nobody has to change their pattern. Cool? A randomized control involves a placebo. Okay, let's move on. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Is this a problem in our society? Yes. This is a big problem. Well, guess what spices do here? 44 patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. 2 grams per day ginger versus placebo, 12 weeks randomized controlled trial. Alrighty? Results, decrease inflammatory markers, decrease in liver enzymes, and decrease in liver fat. Okay? God has given us natural tools to fix our liver if it needs fixing. Seeds, flaxseed, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and there are other seeds. These are just my favorite. This is my absolute favorite. That's why I didn't tell you about it. Chia seeds pack in the protein, fight belly fat, get full faster. Do you guys add chia seeds to your meals? Well, do me a favor. When you have breakfast tomorrow or lunch, eat till you're full, then have a tablespoon of chia seeds and tell me how you feel 20 minutes later. You'll feel like your stomach want to pop when it swells in you. That's what it does. Benefits of flaxseed: prevents heart disease, lower cholesterol, help weight loss, prevent diabetes, promotes intestinal health, and all these other things over here. So I encourage you to add seeds to your diet because you'll eat significantly more healthy and significantly less calories. Okay? And you'll get healthier. Here we go with a flaxseed RCT. The seed group lost 9.2 pounds or kilograms, while this group lost only 3. Cool. What is this? Anybody knows? Huh? Broccoli. Is that ground? Or do you mean ground broccoli? I've never seen broccoli ground up, but I Googled that. Anybody knows? I can't hear you. Whoever is speaking, speak loudly. No. This is, huh? That is correct. This is chlorella. How many of you use chlorella? Nobody. Well, after tonight, you need to use chlorella. This is a sea algae. And it's extremely healthy because it has a density chlorophyll than most land-based, if not all land-based plants. I think it's like 4 times the chlorophyll density of land-based plants. And as you guys know, that's what the C was here, chlorophyll. And chlorella is a genus of about 13 species of single-cell green algae belong to this. Like, we need to know that. And here is its numerous nutrient, vitamins D and B. Notice this is a plant that has B12. Does plant normally produce B12? Are we told that plants produce B12? No, but chlorella does because it's an algae. See? So another reason for you not to think that you need to eat animal products to get your B vitamins, or especially B12, and you don't have to take B supplements once you get up to dosing with chlorella, okay? Folate and iron, high, antioxidants, anti-diabetic, antihypertensive, anti-hyperlipidemia. Chlorella is high in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin A, riboflavin, iron, magnesium, and zinc. It's many times recommended as a detox. It's recommended for detox most of the time, but dude, it lowers your blood sugar and cholesterol levels. Fasting blood sugar levels in people with hyperglycemia. High levels of vitamin D, we talk about that, okay? It prevents early aging by all these things here. Treats gastrointestinal problems, provides long-lasting energy, boosts immune function, support detox. Remember we talked about the ileum break effect? That's what's going on here, because this gets to your ileum and causes your hunger pains to go away. Okay, so consider chlorella. The recommendation is, I recently started it. I take about, is it 15? 15 and 15 of spirulina at the same time. I don't remember the costs, but anything after over 1250, because most of the studies are done at 1500 milligrams per day, okay? So ideal food for weight loss while eating more. Based on everything I've said tonight, you can say high fiber-rich foods, right? Cause you to be full, take your hunger away, affect the ileal brake response, right? High water-rich foods. Why? It fills you up. Your stomach capacity is 4 cups, and now you fill it up with water-rich foods like we discussed, which are, again, green, leafy vegetables, and fruits. Low in addictive foods, chocolate. Low in added fat, low in added sugar, low calorie density, low in meat. Put a note here. Low in refined grains, low in salt, low in saline, microbiome-friendly foods, okay? Rich in fruits and vegetables, rich in legumes. Microbiome-friendly is because your microbiome affects your health also. And when you eat fruits and vegetables or a prebiotic, you get that friendly biome that decreases the amount of food and the negative stuff that gets into your system. Okay, so these, whenever you eat something, if it measures against this list, then you should eat it. If it doesn't, be careful with it, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Okay, so our choice tonight is to consider eating less of visible fats and oils. We really shouldn't eat it, folks. Sugars, avoid as much as you can. Foods containing cholesterol, you really shouldn't eat it. Salt, I agree that we do need some salt. It's very difficult to eat beans without salt or some garlic, right? Adventists don't do alcohol, so this is not an issue, just like we don't do smoking. Eat more whole grains, tubers and legumes, fruits and vegetables, water, hearty meals, and spices. Okay? And just, I'll point you back to stuff you already know. It is a failure to care for the living machinery. A failure to care for the living machinery is an insult to the Creator. There are divinely appointed rules which is observed will keep human beings from disease and premature death. As far as health go, one of my favorite Bible texts is Leviticus 3:17. I cannot end any talk without mentioning that text. Who knows what it says? Leviticus 3:17. Are you serious? When I was here in 2013, I looked at my old lecture. I think I gave a lecture here in 2013. If it's not, it was 2009, which is even worse. I was young then. But anyway, that text was the highlight, second text in my talk, Leviticus 3:17. This is a permanent rule, a permanent law, a permanent statute. Wherever you live, throughout all your generation, do not eat any fat or blood. Do not eat any fat or blood. Did God tell us why not to eat fat? No, he didn't tell us why to pay tithe. He just said the tithe is mine, and he said the same thing about the fat. He said the fat is mine. But now science have shown us, and I now communicated to you why fat is so bad. Heart problems, lung problems, head problems, everything problems, right? So folks, if you disregard that command, because God spoke, if you read Leviticus 17, verse 1, it says God was speaking. See, when Adventists talk about the Ten Commandments in Exodus, they like to talk with verse 1, which says, and God spoke these words saying. And then they go to Psalms 89, 34, where God says, the words that have gone out of my mouth, they don't change. So we use that for the Ten Commandments. But we don't apply it to Leviticus, what did I say, Leviticus 17, 3:17, right? But should it be applied? Because God was speaking. It says in verse 1, God spoke to Moses, tell the children of Israel, in verse 17, never eat fat. And in the other texts, he clarified, never eat the fat of cattle, nor sheep, etc. Right? I don't remember the exact text. I'd like to say Deuteronomy, but I'd have to look it up. Cool? So, it would be hard for you to convince me that God intended for us to eat animal food, much less animal fat. My advice to you, as I've tried to show you tonight, if it has fat, don't eat it. If it's from animal, don't eat it. But back here, I've given you some good ideas on how and what to consume to lose weight and to gain your God-given self back. All right. God has permitted the light of health reform to shine upon us in these last days, that by walking in the light we may escape many of the dangers to which we shall be exposed. Folks, I know we've run a little late, but last night we ended a little early, see? And as I said, I'm the driver of the person who spoke last night. So in my mind, I was figuring whatever time she leaves, I can use. Okay, so I'm not really running late. I'm just using my time, or our time. Anyway, I want to tell you, when God himself gives us food, do you notice when he created us, Genesis 1:29, he gave us a food. When he gave the children of Israel food, did he give them meat? No, he gave them manna. Now I know if I had to eat manna for 40 years, I can think that I may become bored with it. But if it's from God, then we probably won't. And when you think that nobody was sick or ill or in pain after 40 years of eating manna, that probably wasn't a bad deal. But he didn't give them meat until they complained and complained and complained. And what did meat bring? Death and suffering. Cool? When something great was going to happen, God get his people away from animal products. When Jesus was coming, he sent John the Baptist and he said, dude, don't eat meat, okay? Elizabeth, don't give this boy meat. Why? Because he has a great job to do and he must be prepared mentally and physically to do it. Cool? And as far as we know, Jesus only ate meat twice. Some people may argue he had 5 times, but I think we know of 2 for sure with Abraham, and then after he was resurrected to prove that he was human flesh also, he said, give me something to eat. Cool? All right? And I'm going to go out here on a limb, and I heard this recently from another speaker, it's not from me, but this speaker mentioned that God gave us the health message. He brought us together after 1844. And in the 1860s, we were formed as a church. And God gave this church the health message in anticipation of a great message that was coming in 1888. See, but the church rejected the health message, and thus being mentally unprepared, they rejected the 1888 message. Okay? And so today, Ellen White says to us, look, we may not escape the things that are coming if we reject this message. My friends, may the Lord bless you as we depart tonight. I know we're still friends. May his face shine upon you and enlighten you. May his countenance go with you and keep you safe. And may you decide to choose a diet and a lifestyle that will be a blessing, tremendous blessing to you on this earth and prepare you for the future. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I want to thank you all for coming out here. I appreciate it. Okay. It's strange how we say we're Seventh-day Adventists and we refuse to come to church to learn and to rehearse the things that we need to rehearse and to prepare us for what's coming. I'd like to copy C.D. Brooks when this is bonus. If you want, if you're home, you can turn off the stream now, but this is just bonus. You know, C.D. Brooks in one of his sermons, he says, if you go out there and you tell someone you're going to have a party, a revelry, alcohol will be there, and everything else that we think is great will be there, you will have no problem filling your house. But if you tell them, come on over, we're going to have a Bible study because Jesus is coming soon, you'll be studying by yourself. And sometimes it seems like that's the case in the church. Sister Nida and her leadership with the pastor, they put in a tremendous effort to put this program together. I mean, I came here yesterday at 5:45 and Nida's car was already here. I said, well, my goodness, boy, that's pretty good. And to do this a whole week. Now, I know there's some people on live stream from what I'm told, and we appreciate you there, but imagine, you got to come out here and support the effort of your leadership. Because, you know, it's funny, when you don't put on these programs, then they complain that you don't. Right? Our church isn't doing anything. But then when you do, they don't come, because they already know. So anyway, may God bless you for coming out. I appreciate it, Sister Nida and Pastor. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak here. I hope that, as I said when I started, you were somewhat empowered. It was not intended to embarrass or shame anyone, but overweight and obesity will be a tremendous burden to you. So take these steps with God's help and take the appropriate step to change course, and you will be blessed for it. Thank you very much. Are there questions, or it's too late? It's 8:45 on that clock on the wall.
With regards to the vinegar, do you encourage to let them drink the vinegar on an empty stomach or any time?
As long as you dilute it, it's okay. As long as you dilute it so it doesn't burn your GI lining cells. Yes, ma'am. I drink it on empty stomach many times. Yeah.
Does it matter what kind of vinegar, like apple cider versus anything, or just?
I recommend apple cider.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You got a question?
Thanks. How many bowls of salad do you think we should eat, basically?
As much as you can have, because there's nothing wrong to eating salads. Remember, when you read Genesis 1:29 and 3, that's what God gave us to eat. Some people complain about, well, there's not enough proteins. It's not an issue, my friends. It's not an issue. Okay? There's no limit to eating salads, sir, honestly. Make it a variety. Some days I will just have 2 apples and an orange for lunch, purposefully, okay? Because by the time I get to the first apple, the half of the second one, I'm already full. And then life is good. Yes, ma'am. I think she was.
Yeah, I've heard that vinegar is not that healthy to use. The same result you'll get from vinegar, you can get it from lemon.
That's true.
So-
I couldn't give you all the examples of every food. You know, if you read or if you look at certain programs or sale programs especially, they call things superfoods. But as you study each live plant food as grown, you can list each one as a superfood. You
Yeah.
know, so there, for each segment, fruits, vegetables, nuts and grains and legumes, you can choose anyone and use it as an example. Your lemon is awesome. It actually can take water and turns it into alkaline
Alkaline.
water. You see what I mean? So I agree with you. You don't
Yeah.
have to do vinegar. That was just one example.
And another thing I had to mention, when God made man, he made them to eat uncooked food, like all the herbs and the nuts and greens and that they were able to eat. So today, you mentioned that we should eat our salad first. And yes, it's for two reasons. Not only to fill you up so you don't need much other food, but also it helps with the digestion and it helps your food to do better by eating raw first before you eat cooked.
Well, yeah, tonight I wasn't spending a lot of time on the nutrition value of foods, more on the full versus not full and addressing the issue of obesity.
Yeah,
See, and remember I only had 1 hour.
yeah.
So there were some slides that I would have liked to talk about a lot more, but I had to slow myself down. You know, when I made this presentation, I think I had 66, 70 slides up there. I extracted those between 2 o'clock and 5:30 from 160 slides. So there's a lot more details to each one of these, and there's a lot more stuff out there that we could have talked about. For example, how they actually work. So yeah, sorry about that.
You did a good job. I'm only adding a little piece here.
Thank you.
Mr. Dorset, yeah. Anybody else have a question? Can you explain what's the limit on the nuts because they're calorie-dense food?
Yes, they
Because
are
some people tend
calorie-dense
to
food.
kind of engage a lot in eating nuts, and then they're wondering, it's plant-based, why am I gaining weight?
Why are they gaining weight when they eat nuts? Well, as you see, they're calorie dense, right? So you will eat a lot more calories if you fill up with only nuts, because it has a high fat content and also high protein content. See, so yeah. So the limit on the nut used to be about a handful, which is a quarter to half a cup per day on the nuts. Although, if you follow Michael Greger, he showed a study that showed that people eat nuts that did not gain any more weight than if they didn't eat nuts. Adding nuts to their regimen did not increase weight gain. Okay? So for me, I would advise you not to eat more than a handful or a half a cup of nuts per day, because it's a lot of fat. And the fat is a concern for all the heart disease that was mentioned in earlier lectures, if not in tomorrow night's lecture. Okay? Fat is a real problem. It doesn't matter if it's animal fat or nuts fat. It still causes the same problem. Weight gain, heart disease, and as the speaker last night pointed out, a systemic problem. Okay.
Question, do you get the same benefits from a cabbage blend as you do a salad? I know what you meant.
Well, no, because when you go to the store, you can buy a cabbage blend that has usually red or white cabbage. It's called a coleslaw blend sometimes, that has cabbage, kale, and carrots. Because they get the red cabbage and the carrots gives it a little color, so they call it a coleslaw cabbage blend. While if you buy green salad, it has lettuce in addition to more leafy greens and a little cabbage and kale, if anything. So the question is, do you get more nutrition from either one? No, because they're all green veggies. And the cabbage is great because it's, as we know, the cruciferous vegetables are great for anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, but all the other vegetables are great for anti-inflammatory and nutrition-based. So I wouldn't say you get a better nutrition from a cabbage salad versus a green. The leafy greens are softer, cabbage is a little firmer. So
Yes.
what I do in response to that person is I buy the, when I don't have time to cut them up, I buy the cole or the cabbage salad and the green salad and mix the two together. See, that's what I do. But in nutrition-wise, it's just your choice which one you favor.
This is another comment from the online viewer. It's actually not a question. He said, I love the way that you connected eating to the Bible. Healthy
Well, thank you.
eating based from the Bible. He said, good speaker.
Oh, praise God, eh? He gives us the tool, we use it. All right, any other?
Anybody else have a question so we could close?
Well,
All
if
right.
not, thank you all very much again. Appreciate it. God bless you. I see some young kids in the back. Bless their heart. Thanks for your patience. Okay.
You want to close?
Just wanted to say thank you again to everybody who came out tonight and for all those who have joined us online for this very informative and very helpful lesson tonight. I just want to invite you all again for tomorrow night as we go over heart disease and prevention. So just thank you all for coming tonight. And we'll close in prayer. Heavenly Father, I just thank you once again for the opportunity to come and learn this very important benefits of eating properly and eating the right foods rather than being subject and slave to the foods that this world has created for us, rather the foods that you have provided for us and the right kinds of foods and the right balances. I just ask that you impart with us this evening and keep us all safe to join us again tomorrow. For in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.